Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the number one home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have a great show for you. The Ducks went on a crazy losing streak, and they came out of it on the last show, and since then, they went on a great winning streak. They won 7 games in a row. Then they lost a couple, won a couple more, so they've won 9 of their last 11 games, and the Ducks are now in 3rd place as they enter the Olympic break. So a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll kind of recap some of the games just real briefly. We'll talk about the Olympics, some league news. We'll talk about Panarin. That whole thing came to a head finally. And just kind of about the Ducks, what we think's going on, and you know how they've turned it around. But Eddie, what's going on with you? I know it's been a couple weeks since we did our last show.
Yeah, no, nothing too much, just work. Work. That's about it. I'm not enjoying this warm winter we're having. It's supposed to be a little colder, but yeah, that's it for me. Just work and hanging around the house and stuff like that. How about you, Mike? Anything new with you?
No, nothing too much. I am during this Olympic break gonna go to Vegas and hang out there for a little bit. But nothing since we last talked. Same thing like you said, just work. I wish I had something super exciting to discuss, but no, nothing personally. But with the Ducks, plenty of stuff. It's been kind of a crazy ride with Anaheim lately. They, as you all know, we talked about the rough go that they had of it, and then they turned it around. They beat Dallas, they beat LA in back-to-back games. They beat the Rangers. They beat Eddie's second favorite team, Colorado, in a shootout. And they beat Seattle and then Calgary, and then lost a couple, and then beat Seattle and Vegas again. So, I mean, the Ducks are back in it. It's been crazy to see this team and what's gone on and how they've turned it around. And that's really kind of the focal point that we'll talk about in the beginning of the show, and then we'll get into some other things around a lot of stuff around the league, I guess, is what we'll get into later on in the show and whatnot. But looking at this, Eddie, it's been a wild ride. I think when we saw them lose 9 in a row, it seemed like all hope was lost, and maybe they weren't going to make the playoffs. Now they're right there in the thick of the thing. They're just behind the Kings or I'm sorry, behind Edmonton and Vegas, and then the Kings are behind the Ducks trying to get in there. So I mean, it's been wild, but the Ducks have come back and rallied. There's a lot of key points there, but I mean, what are your initial thoughts just about this team and the ability for them, to turn it around after that crazy losing streak?
I think their biggest battle was Colorado. You had Dallas kind of surging down, just like you mentioned earlier. Vegas. Actually, no, we talked about that off off show. So that wasn't too surprising them taking over Dallas, but them beating LA. Um, that was one of those things. I don't think we won a game last season, or maybe one game against LA last season. So it's always good to beat them. The Rangers are just the Rangers. I think Colorado was their best opponent, and they held their own pretty well. I think it was a goalie showdown. I think everyone knew on the Colorado side, as far as their fans, once the Avalanche went into the shootout, they were going to lose. The Avalanche have been terrible in the shootout, and they've been terrible in the power play. So I guess that paid kind of a little benefit on the Ducks. I'm just glad we started this new streak, Mike, because it was looking at like it was just going to go down. Like they were going to post a letter like the Rangers did about how they're shutting everything down. They're going to rebuild again or whatever. So I'm just glad they snapped out of it. They got some wins, and they're still in the playoff mix and still in the mix to be number one in the Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been wild, like you said. Yeah, going, some of these games overtime, shootouts. The Ducks have been great. They've only had 3 losses in shootouts and overtimes this year. They usually either win the game or they lose the game, right? And they've also had some hat tricks too during the streak. The league has been crazy with hat tricks lately. You had Sennecke get that hat trick and the game winner in that game against Calgary in overtime. Then you also had Granlund get a hat trick in that game against the Oilers, and unfortunately, they lost that game. Ekholm also got a hat trick in that game. So I mean, the league's been crazy. It seems like there's a hat trick almost every other night. But the Ducks have turned it around, and I think there's a few different things you can look at with this team. I think they played better team defense overall. They're not getting blown out as much like they had, or at least giving up as many goals as they had a little bit earlier in the season. You also have Dostal, who's like been on crack. I don't know. He's nuts, dude. He's won 8 of his last 9 starts. The only loss he had was that game against Vancouver, which was a goalie duel, and the Ducks lost that one 2-0, which was a close battle. He was also during this time named a 3-star, or excuse me, the 3rd star of the week. And that week that he earned that, he was undefeated, 400 goals against 2.18 and save percentage 925. So Dostal has been, I think, a huge reason carrying the Ducks on their back during this streak. And then you've also had guys that were playing hurt that weren't in the lineup. As we all learned about Carlson, Eddie and I called it. We talked about on the last show, and obviously a lot of you saw it too on the ice. It wasn't really a big surprise, but Carlson being hurt, playing hurt, ended up having surgery. He has to miss the Olympics, unfortunately, but he needs to just rest up and get better. And then you had McTavish and Terry getting hurt, and thankfully they're both back. But I think that probably contributed a little bit to the losing streak, as you had Dostal not playing as well, and had guys playing hurt. Now the Ducks are, pretty much healthy. I mean, obviously we're still missing Carlson in the mix there, but Dostal's been lights out. And I think just as a team, the Ducks have been playing better overall, Eddie.
Oh yeah, especially when you have you trust that person on your back end, and like I'm glad you mentioned too defensively, because I noticed a kind of a 180 from those 9 game losing streaks to the 7 game win streak. They're more defensively aware and responsible, and making things easier for Doss to make those kind of t tough saves and letting him get in position and not have to guess a lot. So that was pretty good to see. But I mean, this team has a lot going for it, and we've seen the super good, we've seen the super bad. But I was really glad that this team was able to bounce back. You had a pretty much an impossible, just trending downwards. Look at what you call it, Winnipeg. Winnipeg was kind of trending up, supposed to be a playoff contender. They went on a losing streak and they never bounced back from it. So it's just I'm glad the Ducks kind of faced that adversity, and everyone around. And I always mention too the younger players and those role players stepped up in the absence of our main stars. And they were able to get something done and rally around each other and build this streak. And hopefully it continues. Hopefully the players that are a little banged up have that time during the Olympic break, especially Carlson, to go ahead and heal up and come off that Olympic break come next few weeks and start the season strong. The Ducks have to really too. I wanted to mention that loss against Vancouver. Teams like this, especially coming in February, you have to be able to steal wins and steal 2 points for teams that are kind of bottom barrel teams. You can't just let them take advantage of you and kind of lose out on those points, because it's going to be crucial. It's going to come down to the end, especially in the Pacific Division. I'm thinking the last 2 weeks it's going to come down to all the games, if not the very last game. I remember years ago, Mike. I don't know if you remember this, when the Ducks had a watch party on the beach, and the Ducks played. I think it was, I don't know who they played, but if they won the game, they would have got first in the Pacific. And I want to say they played Washington, some random team for their last away game, and they ended up winning. So I think it's going to be something like that come in the Pacific Division. You're going to have those teams are playing their last games to get into the 1, 2, 3 spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Ducks are back in the mix, like you said. They're in this, Olympic break now, and they're going to come out of it still a chance. I mean, they're right now in third or wild card position with Seattle. They can jump up and get it. I mean, there's plenty of games left. When we come back in March and get this all fired up, or technically the end of February, but in March, there's a ton of games, lots of hockey going on in March. So they definitely can do it. I think another thing that you touched on that's very important here for the Ducks is their role players, and they've had a lot of role players. I think one that's been surprising, and maybe I eat a little bit of crow on this one, is VL. The Ducks acquired him, gave up a fourth round draft pick. Wasn't a whole lot, but I wrote in my article that I felt it was kind of a questionable trade based upon his lack of scoring and what he could add to the team. and he came out literally swinging because his first game he got in a fight. Then he scores goals in the second and third game. And he's been great. I mean, defensively, looking at him, he looked fine. But when I looked at him offensively and some other things, I was like, he might not be that, great of a guy to pick up. But they picked him up and he was like a sparks plug for the team. I mean, he really did add to the team in all the areas. In the gritty part, the fighting defense, he's contributing offensively. And then you've got the other guys like Paling and Harkins. They've stepped up in the absence of McTavish and Terry and Carlson. And those guys have contributed too, getting assists on certain plays, shorthanded goals. I mean, all that kind of stuff that we need. Those guys, to me, I would say, if you're going to talk about like the unsung heroes or unsung ducks on this team, those would be the three, Eddie.
Yeah, people are flipping out about giving up a fourth round pick, but I mean, if you stop and think, the Ducks really haven't had success, and a lot of fourth round picks don't really pan out. Yeah, you can use them to flip for other teams, and I understand that. I think one of the most noticeable trade fourth rounders was Matt Bolesky, but he had the one 20 goal season and he spiraled off after that. There was another one I can't remember, but it was kind of similar to that. We haven't really had like a ton of success. Now I can see if the Ducks are picking diamonds in the roughs that at the third or fourth or fifth spot, but they haven't. So giving up a fourth rounder right now for the spark that we had, I think that trade right now is worth it. I think the Ducks won just from the energy he brought, and he was the reason why and helped the Ducks kind of get that spark and continue the streak and continue the games they play. And he adds that element to the ice too, where other players have to watch out for him, keep their head on a swivel, and think twice before going after one of our stars. So I think it was a win for the Ducks, regardless if some people got mad about a fourth rounder.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't so much the fourth rounder. That didn't bother me. If it was a third, maybe I would have questioned it. The fourth rounder didn't kill me. I just didn't really think he was going to add as much as he has. So, VL, I owe you an apology. You've been kicking ass. I got it wrong, at least in my article when I wrote. It wasn't so great. I mean, I questioned the trade, thought it was very questionable, but, he's been working out, so it's been great. So those guys have really filled in, have been doing a fantastic job. Another one too is Ian Moore, who's filled in. The dude, some of these games the Ducks played 11-7 technically, but Moore's also played fourth line on the forward side. He's been amazing helping out the team. It's been looking good. They've just been playing great. You've got some standouts, of course, on this team. Cutter Gauthier now has 25 goals. Philly fans, if you want him back, you guys can suck it. I know they don't want him back, but I say that as a joke.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
Yeah,
do. They would trade Drysdale back to the Ducks for Cutter
right,
in a heartbeat. So
right. So Jesse Bell, our guy from Old City Sports Network, we always joke about it because we obviously made the Zegers trade too. So Jesse, if you're listening, thank you for Cutter Gauthier. But anyways,
but he could say thank you for Zegras. So it's like I guess it's a win-win for. I mean, they weren't the same trades. They're
right.
totally different trades, but still, I mean, we lost one trade. They lost one trade. We lost one trade. So I think we're tied 1-1. So the next trade is going to see the tiebreaker.
No, and it was funny you mentioned that. I was about to say that. I was going like, well, we got you on this one, you got us on the other one. But yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's crazy. Gautier's been killing it for the team. He's the third player to reach 25 goals in the last 6 seasons. The only other two to do that were Terry and Vetrano. As you all know, Vetrano's still out hurt too as well. And then Jackson Lacombe, he ended up getting picked up to go to the Olympics, and he's got 31 assists this season, career high. And only three other defensemen have done that. Or I mean, three total have done that, including him in the last 10 seasons. The other two are Fowler and Manson. So Lacoma's been killing it. Cutter's been killing it. I saw some people too. We talk about team captains. After Gudis, we're assuming if he doesn't come back next season. But I saw some people talking about Lacombe as being a team captain, Eddie. Like that kind of blew me away. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I know people give Gudis a hard time, but I don't know. That's a huge responsibility, and Lacomb's just coming into his own. He broke out last season. He's having a sneaky good season. I didn't even realize he had that many assists. And I just focused on his two-way playing when I've been watching him. He gets named to Team USA, and when I think I called it on the last show, I thought he deserved that spot more than Seth Jones did, regardless of Seth Jones's injury, just what he does on the ice. Um, so that was that was surprising, but yeah, naming him captain, I don't know. Off the top of my head right now, I have to really think, but I don't know who I would want as the next Ducks captain. That's kind of a hard one for me.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. We've talked about Terry. We talked about McTavish as being a couple of the ones up there. But you're right. We're getting ahead of the game, right? We got to see what's going to happen with Gudis at the end of the season if they do bring him back another year or so, or what happens. But yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, he's been a little bit of a slow start to the season, but Lacombe's been on fire. Gautier's been on fire. Terry came back. Terry's another one that, despite injury, he came back the first game back, got a couple assists. He's been sneaky quiet too as well. And it's just everybody's kind of gelling right now. Even look at Jacob Trouba. He's got 9 goals. He could have 10 goals this season. I mean, that's crazy. Nobody really thought that. So you just
He's
got
having
different.
fun this season too. He mentioned on TSN that he's having more fun playing than he had in a couple seasons.
Yeah, and
A
it's
little
kind of
jab at New York.
I know. I was gonna say, maybe that's how Panarin felt too. I mean, I'll save that. We'll talk about the Panarin stuff a little bit later in the show. But yeah, I mean, we took a couple players from there, so they're obviously having more fun here right now. And a couple stats too, just for you guys out there to also why the Ducks, are having success at home. They are undefeated when scoring first. So they have scored first 12 times at home, and they've won all those games. And then on the season overall, road and home games, they are undefeated when leading after 2 periods with 18 wins. So, we saw that last couple games too. They jumped all over Vegas, which I loved, by the way. They swept Vegas this year, all 3 games. Sorry to my buddy Sin Bin Vegas, Ken over there that we've had him on the show before. I'm always texting him and asking him questions and stuff, but I'm like, we swept you guys. No, but Ken's a good buddy. But they took him out and they won all those games 4-3. I mean, Vegas came back late in that game, but one of the goals was in the dying seconds. The Ducks that really took out Vegas, and then they took it to Seattle too. They were up 4-0 in the third and gave up a couple goals late. And I think that's been the key for the Ducks too, is getting those leads early. Yeah, they had to kind of hang on late in a couple of these last games. And like I said, Dostal has just been freaking amazing. So the Ducks are doing everything right now. I mean, we talked about the 2 losses briefly. You mentioned the Vancouver one. It's frustrating. Vancouver's at the bottom. They should have won that game. And then Edmonton, I wasn't as upset about the Edmonton game because that was off back-to-backs against Calgary. I was hoping Husso would have, had a better game in that one, but I don't know. That was kind of a weird one because they put Dostal in against Calgary and then Husso against Edmonton. I would have kind of swapped those two, but I mean, it is what it is. That's what they went with. So. Still overall, I mean, just looking at their play, the way the team defense is working, the way that they're sticking together, they're getting goals all the way up and down the lineup, and those are all the things I look at. Yeah, that's why I see that this team is doing a good job. I mean, they're getting ahead. Oh, the other part too, I didn't really mention is they're being better on these penalties too. If you notice, they had some games where they took no penalties or one penalty. They're getting more disciplined too, and that was kind of an issue early in the season because we all know that the other part that's still kind of weak for the Ducks is their special teams. The power play is about 17%. Penalty kills gotten better, but it's 78%. You want to get closer to 80. But I think that's really the weakness right now is the special teams. I mean, other than that, I mean, I like what I'm seeing on the ice.
Oh yeah, you know, Mikey too. I was thinking just when you were talking about the whole Calgary and Edmonton thing, you never know if their whole mindset they wanted Dostal to start against Edmonton. It could have been Husso wasn't feeling it that game. Something came up. And I know the flu's going around. Some people aren't feeling 100%. Maybe that was something that they didn't disclose. Because yeah, it makes no sense to start like to flip those. Like Doss should have had the game against Edmonton, and I think they probably would have won that game. I know Edmonton has a lot more firepower, so that's kind of an interesting choice on them. But even too with Edmonton, as fast as they were, the Ducks were kind of still. I mean, the score looks lopsided, but the Ducks still held their own, and Ducks can what they proved this season, even against powerhouse teams, that they can hold their own. And they don't have the, I guess, the sexiest roster. if you're not a Ducks fan. They don't have those flashy, complete franchise developed players yet. So, and they're still going and sweeping teams, making Vegas look like a minor league team. I think they did a good job, and I think and you know a possibility too, Mike. We're talking about Edmonton. They can possibly play Edmonton in the first round of the playoffs if they go 2 or 3, or something like that. So that's something to take a kind of a peek into the future with.
Yeah, that's true. It could end up that way if if Vegas is able to keep down that first spot, right? And then Edmonton and the Ducks are 2 and 3, and then whatever with the Kings in Seattle, how they figure that out. But yeah, we could play each other and see what happens, and you never know, and it could be a wild one. And yeah, you're right. I mean, people are being sick and stuff like that. I was sick over Christmas for a while. It was horrible, as I talked about in the last show. And there's still people at work that are sick going through stuff. So who knows why they did it, or maybe they just wanted Dostal in that first game because they thought that they could definitely get the win with him against Calgary. Interesting mindset. I don't fully agree with it, but maybe there was something else, like you said. It was also interesting too in that game against Edmonton. Verbeek was there and on the intermission report and did an interview. And the trade freeze is on right now. You got the Panarin trade, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But listen to Verbeek on there. It was kind of funny because he said a few things and then he didn't say a few things, and I was kind of laughing because we posted the video when he was talking about the trade deadline. He was like, "Oh, I may do something, I may not do something." I was like, "Oh my God, you're killing me right now, Pat." The only part that he did talk about the team as we talked about the focus on defense. The other person mentioned briefly is also Sennecke. He's been freaking killing it. He's going
Oh
up
yeah.
there in the Calder, discussion. I mean, just he's been going bonkers. He got that hat trick, like we said in the game before against Calgary, and he's just been in the mix. He's been up there, and been another one that's been, a lot of people, of course, joke about, oh, you took him instead, but hey, it's been working out. But the
Well,
only
Mike,
yes.
he's not in the talks of it. People are saying he can actually win the Calder, so that's like that's the first for the Ducks. Well, like to having them win, having a Calder kind of level player. Like, I mean, we've had Calder level players, but never winning it. And there's analysts, there's other, even the guys on Spit and Chicklets were talking about Seneca saying that he can legitimately win this trophy. And in their minds, when they were talking, that he's the front runner right now and has a clear lead. And not just by point wise either, just his game, the way he plays. He uses his body a lot. He's not afraid. He doesn't play like a rookie at all. Like he's played like he's been in the league for a few years. Like he's not afraid to lose those battles. He's not afraid to throw his body around. He's not afraid to make plays and take penalties. Even though he takes a little bit too many penalties for my liking, at least he goes out there and tries to do that. So I really like to see that with him. A lot of rookies don't have that kind of judgment to go do that. They're a little more timid. So I think it's a legitimate thing that he can win this year, the Calder, and I'm excited to see that.
No, I agree with you. I wasn't trying to downplay it, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he's got 18 goals. He's already got 44 points. He's setting all kinds of records. I forget there was one game where I was typing up the team notes and stats, and it was like Seneca did this, Seneca did that, I was like losing my mind. All if you guys read, when you look at the recaps I do, I put in like the notes and stats and stuff that are posted there. A lot of them by the NHL PR and some of the NHL articles out there, but there was all this crazy stuff that he's breaking all these team records and all these things that he's doing as a rookie. And you're right, Eddie. When you look at Seneca, it's not just about the scoring. You talked about that. His defensive game is good. He's getting assists. He's not just getting goals. He's back checking. He's creating turnovers.
Yep.
He's laying the body. I mean, he's doing all these things. And I mean, he's been fantastic. And I know there were people that questioned the pick. There were some people that questioned why the Ducks brought him up and were playing him. And I think anybody questioning it now, they can just be quiet. I mean, he has been fantastic. He has been one of the absolute bright spots for the Ducks this year, and killing it. And I'm like, lock this dude down. When his ECL finishes, like, you get the next contract, get him on there because. I mean, he has been such a bright spot for this team. I was also laughing. Do you remember that post game? after the hat trick, Dostal freaking did a shaving cream pie in his face, posted that video. So that was hilarious too. And he couldn't even finish the interview. So the guys are having fun, Eddie, and that's what I like to see. They're winning and having fun.
I'm not talking because he said if someone had an issue with the pick to be quiet, so that's why I'm not talking, Mike. No, you know what? I didn't have the issue with the pick. My issue was I thought he was going to go, I guess, lower. He was going to be top 10 regardless, so I thought they could have made some trades. But after seeing what he's done, yeah, that's my foot in my mouth. And then when with the Blue Jackets going to take him at the fourth overall, obviously they knew something the Ducks did too. So that's kind of on me. Just my dumb take sometimes. So that's my foot in my mouth and my be quiet moment, Mike.
Well, you had yours and I had mine with VL, so we're tied on that. Sometimes we throw out our opinions and they come back to bite us, but hey, that's what it's all about. And sometimes you just own it.
Yep, it was my bad. And so, oh well.
All
I'm glad
right.
I was so wrong about this one, though. I love being wrong about when it comes to Duck stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other interesting thing, we were following this, and this was like crazy, trying to figure out what was going to happen. There was all these Panarin rumors going around. Like we said, it's a trade freeze time right now, so nothing's going to happen for a couple more weeks. But we were laughing because this came out, Eddie, and of course, LA ended up getting Panarin. But what a
You
wild,
called it. You called
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, you talked about. I said, oh man, because they had said that they had talked to the Ducks, the Sharks, and LA, and I was thinking, man, watch, LA's going to get him, and they ended up, that's what it worked out. He got a 2-year extension for 11 mil, and then New York got a Liam Greentree and a conditional third round pick that becomes a second if the Kings win one playoff game. That's a 2026 third round pick. And then what's weird is if the Kings win two playoff games, then New York gets another fourth round pick in 2028. So kind of an interesting deal how that all worked out. I think the Ducks could have done that. I mean, we'll talk about, there's obviously some of the contract stuff Eddie and I have talked about on the show before that they had to figure out. But from what the word is on the street, is it sounded like Verbeek was willing to trade and get him, but he didn't necessarily want to do the extension up front. Kind of wanted to see how he would work out and gel with the team, and that's why it didn't work out. So, I mean, what do you think, Eddie? I mean, if the Ducks were able to get him and say they were able to give up some kind of prospect and the same kind of arrangement with these picks, and then sign him for 11 million for the next 2 years. Would you be okay with the Ducks doing that, or are you good with the Ducks passing? Even though he went to the Kings, but still, regardless if he went to any team. But how do you feel about that?
I would have passed on him. I mean, New York got a good player with that Liam Greentree. He's a monster. He's a tough kid. So I think they got a decent one. He's a former first overall pick. And I guess here's my thing is I heard a rumor that the Rangers did ask and talk to the Ducks and they wanted Roger McQueen. I don't know if that was just one of these weird analysts that's throwing something out there, but the Rangers did ask for Ryan Leonard from Washington and as part of that trade, and that was going to be a hell no deal going with that. They also asked for another. That was Will Smith from the Sharks, and no, that you're not going to have him either. So I think they would have asked for someone as high as that, and that doesn't surprise me if they did ask for Roger McQueen, but I don't know. I'm not sold on him. I mean, maybe for the 2-year extension, maybe a little. I think I would have done that, but I wouldn't want the Ducks to trade for him and extend just right there. Like I want to see what he gels with the team. You know, if you bring in some players and they don't gel right and it throws off the whole chemistry. Yeah, I think Verbeek did a good job. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird, and it's kind of weird that he signs a 2-year extension, even though in the beginning he said he wanted term until he was done, like pretty much aged out at max term. But he signs 2 years, and you know what's funny, and a lot of people don't realize with that 2-year thing is he mentioned too he wanted to go back and play with Florida. He wanted to play with his buddy Bob. So they don't have the cap space right now for him. But in a couple years, they're gonna have like what they have like four players going to UFA. They can make the cap space works with the rising cap too. Maybe that's his plan. Play a few seasons in LA. He gets free agency again, goes to Florida, plays with his buddy Bob. But I'm glad that the Ducks passed on him. I think we can go a different route. We can. I think we're good where we are. There's no expectation to win the cup, and I still don't think the Ducks are a cup favorite team to win, especially you have a powerhouse like Colorado that pretty much can't be stopped, and there's no shootouts in the playoffs. But I think that Verbeek did the right thing and stood his ground and didn't want to pay what they were probably asking for, and didn't want to sign the extension right away. I mean that's $11 million. We can bring in a different player. Who knows what Verbeek's going to do if we're going to be buyers this time for the deadline. That's a first in a long time for us. If we get a rental player and he ends up lighting it up and ends up playing well, we can use that 11 million that we would have used on Panarin to use it to that player. We still have Cutter, we still have Leo to get signed. So, I mean, we have to consider all that in the consideration. But I think the Rangers pretty much traded the bread man for breadcrumbs to LA. So I'm glad he's over there, and best of luck to him. And I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it a good trade for LA. They're older team, and they're kind of trading for an older player. I know he's only 34 years old. It's kind of weird to say that. He's only 5 years older. I'm 5 years older than him, but I mean, hockey years. That's like what add 10 years to that. It's just like army years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make some good points. I'm okay with the extension, the 2 years, 11 million. If the Ducks did that, I would have been fine with that. But I think the problem is he was really, from what the reports were saying, was pushing to get the extension, and then there were some people that are saying he really wanted to go to LA. So if he's pushing that extension, now you're limiting what you're going to get as a return. And that's going to hurt New York because you're not going to get as much for him if he's willing to go, anywhere in the league, basically. So it kind of put, if it was LA, that was the main team, which there were some reports of that, or was one of the top teams, at least we know that, obviously. Then that kind of put New York behind the eight ball there, and they didn't have as much leverage. So, and I'm with you. I mean, if the Ducks were to go get him and wait and see, I'm good with that. They go for the 11, that's fine, but then now you're kind of stuck. What do you do come trade deadline? We've talked about this on the show multiple times. You brought it up. You got Leo Carlson and Cutter Gauthier that there's some projections out there that Leo will get 10 million or more, and that Gauthier will get 8 million or more if they both sign long-term contracts. You still got Minty and Zellweger. You got to figure out those deals as well. And then there's other parts of this too. We've talked about if you're bringing back Gudis, what you're going to pay him. We've talked about the problems with the Vetrano contract now as well, and how that plays into the mix. So you get him. If Verbeek would have got him and waited, I think that actually would have been a smart move because he's trying to figure out all this other stuff. He already said in that interview that he's not signing Leo and Cutter. He's not going to even talk about that till the summer. You have that big contract with Lacombe kicking in next year. So there's a lot of variables in there, and I think it would have been great to bring him and then just kind of hang out. See, I think he would have probably got an extension with the Ducks, especially if he played well. But to try and give it up front, it would have been probably a tough one to swallow for sure. So we'll have to see. Like Eddie, you said, the Ducks are buyers. We had one question too from B Coop 31 on Instagram asking, what will the Ducks do at the deadline? They are buyers, and I think they are going to try and do something. The biggest part here, I still think we've talked about this. The defense for the Ducks has been one thing. It's gotten better, but if they can add another piece in there, I think that would help. The other part of this is Mrazek. He's out hurt. He hasn't been great. Husso's been okay. He's been good in some moments, up and down, but I wonder if the Ducks try to go get a backup goalie somewhere along this trade deadline, or somehow improve defense. That's what I kind of look. I don't know if they'll get a big time forward. I mean, obviously Verbeek tried to get Panarin, so I mean that's out there. So I think potentially there could be anything. It's just a matter of who's available, what's the cost going to be. But I definitely think they're going to do something. I mean, to me, I would try it and improve defense, or get a backup goalie. Those are kind of my first priorities. But if they go out and get a forward that can score 20, 30 goals a year, and add them in the lineup and make it work, I mean, I'm good with that too, Eddie.
Yeah, and you know what? When you mentioned backup goalie, that was the number one thing that I thought of too. And that was the number one thing I think I want the Ducks is I'm thinking long-term playoffs. What if Doss goes down in the playoffs? Who are you going to rely on? And we've seen teams fall apart all because they're their main goaltender. So we need that 1A kind of 1B kind of goalie that can be in there. I think a kind of solid backup that can jump in there and steal you games and do that. So I think that's number one priority. Now, when you mentioned defense, I think here's where we differ. I think we need like a solid center, someone that can drive the net hard, to back check responsibly, to win the faceoffs, to throw his body up. And one name came to mind, and I know they're all for sale except Shesterkin is Vincent Trocheck. I think he's a good player. He's a center. I think he's like 56% in the faceoff circle, and that's pretty good for the NHL. He throws his body around, he gets in those dirty areas. I think he'd be an asset to the Ducks, and I think that's something the Ducks, well, I would like the Ducks to go and pursue someone like him. I do know I read earlier and I forgot to write the name down of the analyst that mentioned it, but Bobby McCann from Toronto is another one that the Ducks are rumored to be interested in as a forward. But I guess I would go the center first before I do defense, Mike. But I do agree with you. We do need some kind sort of another defenseman back there to kind of bolster our blue line, especially in the playoffs. We need it. Things are going to happen. People are going to get hurt. We can't rely on bringing up our rookies and expect them to perform to the highest level. They're going to be nervous as hell going to the playoffs. I mean, half the Ducks team are going to be nervous as hell playing in the playoffs that they haven't played. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's one of the deadlines that we can actually keep an eye on and kind of expect things to happen and not like before where we think something's going to happen and it doesn't. We don't. Hopefully, Verbeek is not like Bargain Bob and goes and picks up a 37-year-old player because he scored 50 goals 100 years ago. I don't think that's going to be the case this year, but I guess I'm kind of excited what's going to happen come trade deadline, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm with you too. I do think I know I said my priority is defense and goalie, but I'm with you. If the Ducks do pick up like a Troy Tech, I would be ecstatic. Exactly, someone like that could definitely help that team on the forward side of it too. And that's like you said. I'm really like looking forward to this trade deadline. I want to see what's going to happen. I mean, I'm going to be kind of bored the next 3 weeks. It's like there's no hockey. That's why I
Yeah,
said,
there
well,
is.
well, I
Team
you know.
USA.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no NHL hockey, but yes, you're right. Which does lead us to the next topic about the Olympics. Like you alluded to, Eddie. Yes, I mean the Ducks. You're right. I should have prefaced it. There's no NHL hockey for 3 weeks, but yes, Olympic hockey. You have Lacombe that is playing for Team USA. Carlson is out. He was going to be for Team Sweden. You have Dostal and Gudis for Team Czechia, and then you've got Granlund for Finland, and then our minor leaguer prospect Damian Clara for Italy. So I'm excited about the Olympics and to see how they do, and watch some of those games this next couple weeks as a gap filler since the NHL will be on a little hiatus for this month of February, Eddie.
Yeah, so you know what, Mike? I want to throw a question out. Like I know the players are going to Olympics and it's like a big old freeze. What would you think if whoever's playing in the Olympics goes and plays, but the season continues with the players that aren't in the Olympics? What would you think about that?
That's kind of crazy because, I mean, we've talked about this, right? I think the last show we talked about like, hey, can a player refuse? Can a team refuse? And if there's no break like that and a player goes, I mean, that's kind of
You
rough,
lose
man. That's
risky too. You have your top
yeah.
players, like
Yeah, I think that's why they do the break. Because I mean, if they didn't have the break, I think they would be going all for the CHL and the AHL and all those minor league teams. Because I mean, unless your team is in the bottom and you're a total rebuild and your team's just getting its ass kicked and you're like you don't give a shit, you're trying to get a higher pick, then yeah, whoever wants to go, right? We'll call up people from the minors. We don't give a shit, right? But I
yeah.
mean, but for the teams that are at the top of the divisions, the teams like the Ducks that are trying to battle it out and make the playoffs, I think teams wouldn't want to do it. I think they would want to refrain. I mean, again, depending on what the rules are, if they're even allowed to do that, but however they'd work that out, yeah, I wouldn't be a big fan of that, Eddie. I think it's also better this way too, because like you said, there's no NHL hockey. Okay, cool, you can't watch that, but now you got the Olympics, and you can watch that during the break instead of like, could you imagine the schedules trying to watch? I mean, depending on where the Olympics are at, right? And you're trying to watch your team, but then you're trying to watch your players on Olympic team, like. that'd be just a total cluster F. So I think I do like the fact they have the break. I mean, it does help the Ducks, right? Because you
Oh
have
yeah.
Carlson being out, you have Mrazek being hurt. Like those guys get more time to heal up. So, and other teams that have injuries too. So, I mean, I hope that's what's going to help them because the Ducks can get Carlson back at 100% after the Olympic break. I mean, that's when he should be back. I look for this team to make a serious push in March, and then, like we said, whatever happens at the deadline.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mike, you know the last time that the Team USA won a gold medal was 1980? I guess we all know that story too.
Yes.
That's insane. The last time they won a medal was in 1980, and they won their silver. The last one was in 2010. I think I recall that game when they played Canada in that overtime game. Like that was a pretty good game. But yeah, hopefully Team USA can get a medal and get that drought. It's been way too damn long, but you have Canada, it's always stacked. I think Canada can have two teams. But if it's not USA winning, I wouldn't mind like an underdog winning. I wouldn't mind Sweden winning, especially for Landeskog and what he's been through and what he's came back and was able to accomplish with that surgery. I think it'd be good for him. Or you know what, screw it. The Italians never won a medal at all. I wouldn't mind seeing like an underdog team win.
Yeah, get a little underdog Italian stallion Rocky, go in there and have it Italy win, I'm good. I'm good with anybody, pretty much. Besides, obviously Canada. Nothing is Canada, but like you said, they're a powerhouse. So, if USA doesn't get it, I'm good with anybody else. But you're right, it's gonna
Yeah.
be fun. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. Now, see with this one, and I think this is kind of controversial, and I know a lot of people get pissed off when I say this, but I think whoever wins this Olympics, it's going to be like an asterisk next to their name. It's like you can't fully embrace winning a championship of best on best when you're not playing best on best. And I think it's kind of bullshit that they're not allowing Russia to play because Russia, if you look at the potential roster they could have had, Mike, they would have been up there, and they would have been a tough team to beat. They would have gave a challenge to everyone on there. And they had potentially to win that gold medal, especially in goaltending. Their goaltending is solid, and we've seen teams steal games and be able to outplay other teams by their goaltending. And I think it's just, I mean, I think it's unfair to kind of punish players because whatever side you believe in, it doesn't really matter. I don't want to get into that. I don't really care about it. It doesn't affect me. But I think in my mind that you can't really truly be the gold medal and best on best champion if you're not playing best on best. It doesn't work for me. It's I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Mike.
No, I mean you make a valid point. I mean, yeah, Russia is, of course, going back to the 1980s, right? That was a huge thing. For us pulling that out, which wasn't even the gold medal game. Ironically, that was one of the games
Yeah.
leading up to it. A lot of people forget that, but yeah, you're right. I mean, you don't have the best of all the major countries, I guess, if you want to say out there. So yeah, it is a shame, whatever other stuff's going on in the world, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm with you. I think. Yeah, with Russia not in there, and like you said, with the type of players they have, I mean, we all know about some guy named Ovechkin. I don't know, he's like scores goals or something. I heard he's kind of good, but I mean, yeah, and you've got other players too in the NHL. It's not just him. You've got several others that could go in there, and that team, you're right, would. I mean, if it ended up being Canada, Russia in the gold medal game, I wouldn't have been surprised if that's the way it would have gone down.
Oh yeah, and just especially like the whole storyline too, like Russia US. That would have been a good storyline for everyone to use. It'd been a little revenge for the 1980s and that game. Yeah, yeah, like you said too, Mike. A lot of people think that that was a gold medal game, but no, that was just the biggest game, I guess, in the world at that time. And then the beating Finland for the gold coming back from behind again. So yeah, that was. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's not fair to the players. We have Minty. I think he could have cracked the Russian lineup. I think he could have been there, but you have Vasilevsky, Sorokin, and Shesterkin. Sorry, those that's a goaltending powerhouse, Mike. They're all like how do you pick a starter from there? You just put names in a hat and pick one because each one of those goalies can steal games for you and win.
It's a good point. I mean, if you had those as your goalies on any NHL team, like, dude, as long as you could like play decent defense, I mean, you should be winning most of those games. I
Yep.
mean, absolutely. I do want to read one of our little sports ad, and then we'll get to some league news as we kind of wrap up the show. You know what's coming up, man. It's the Super Bowl, and yes, I know my Rams are not in it, so I am very, very sad. We blew it against the Sea Chickens, as I call them. But we have, and if you're a Seattle fan, good for you. Go beat the Patriots or whoever. I don't really care anymore. But anyways, Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Anything can happen during the Super Bowl, and DraftKings has your back with an early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash when your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into 300 in bonus bets. If your bet wins in partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 87778 HOPNY or text HOPNY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas. Wager tax pay through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expires in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.com/audio. Limited time offer. So there you go, Eddie. Are you rooting for anybody in the Super Bowl, or do you not care like me?
I don't really care. I don't really watch football. I've tried to watch it, try to get into it, but I don't really care. I guess the Patriots, because my best friend's a Patriots fan, and he just had his birthday yesterday, so I guess for them. But honestly, I watched the Super Bowl just for the commercials. I like the commercials. I think it's fun. I know there's going to be that Doctor Doom trailer. I really want to see. I usually would watch it for the halftime show too, but the last few years, it's been terrible. So yeah, I wouldn't want to watch, especially that Bad Bunny guy. I can't stand that guy. And you know what? I'm not getting political because I couldn't stand that guy when he first came out in that Drake song many years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. So I started disliking him before it became popular to dislike him. But yeah, so I'll just be watching probably just for the commercials and probably watching with my brother, but probably jumping on my phone and not really paying attention. But I don't have a fight in the ring on that one. But maybe next season I'll try to get more into football. I do want to go and watch a professional football game next season. So hopefully I can go ahead and jump on that and do that. So that should be fun. How about you? Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be going for the Patriots, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them either. With all the because you got to remember the Patriots beat the Rams twice in the Super Bowl. I mean, they don't have Tom Brady, so yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm not really. I don't know. And then Seattle knocked out the Rams this year, so it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like, which of the worst choices do I want in the Super Bowl? I don't really know. I mean. I'm kind of up in there, but I'm with you, Eddie. I rather just watch the commercials, if anything, see what's gonna have, what kind of things on there. The commercials have gotten a little bit better. There was a kind of a couple of years there where they weren't that great, and neither was the halftime show. And I'm with you too. I could care less about Bad Bunny. I really don't really care. Like he can sing whatever he wants to do and do whatever he wants to do. I'm not gonna say any more about that because I don't want to get too crazy into into that kind of
Uh,
stuff. But like you, I'm not really a big fan. So.
yeah, I'm more excited about that Doctor Doom trailer, and supposedly they're supposed to put the Spider-Man Brand New Day or whatever it's called. I like those Marvel movies, so I'm kind of a nerd on that. So that's what I'm most excited for the Super Bowl to watch those, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be pretty good commercials going on. And I want to see what movies because they usually have good movie trailers. So I'm excited for that, Mike.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you.
oh, so I want to backtrack real quick just to throw some shade at Canada since we're going to be rivals to them in a few weeks. They're all up in tears over that Tate McRae girl endorsing Team USA in a commercial. It's like they're calling her a traitor and getting all butthurt. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
relax. Like, who cares? She's getting paid. That's her job as an entertainer. She's gonna say what she wants. It doesn't really matter. She's dating Jack Hughes. That's her boyfriend. He's playing. And he's like, I don't know. People get up in arms about so much, like little stupid things. Like, I wish I had zero care in the world where I can flip out about Tate McRae um, endorsing USA in an Olympic commercial. It's like, oh my God, it's just crazy. But Screw you guys. Hope you guys lose. USA needs a medal. It's been too damn long. So fingers crossed. What's it called? Um, we're Team USA and we'll go all the way from that Mighty Ducks movie.
You know what's funny too is I didn't even know who that girl was, Tate McRae, like until what was it, a couple years ago?
The
She was,
All-Star game, right?
yeah, she was the team captain of one of the All-Star games. I had no idea who she was. I'm like, who is this chick?
Yeah.
And I think that that's funny because people get up in arms about a lot of stuff, which kind of segues into our other thing. You know that the potential first round pick next year, Gavin McKenna got into some kind of altercation at a bar or restaurant, and people were going nuts on this, saying that they're not going to draft him, and there's all this craziness. But apparently, somebody was heckling him while he was out with his mom and saying stuff, quote unquote, like she was a whore and all this other stuff. So he knocked this dude out and broke his jaw. Not saying that's right, but I mean, everybody got all pissed off originally. It was like, oh my God, he like went and kicked somebody that, because all the rumors started flying until some of the facts came out. And we don't have all the facts anyways, but overreaction too, like you said, Eddie. I want to see what's the deal with this because I'll tell you right now. I mean, my mom passed away already, but if she was still here, RIP, and I was out somewhere and someone was verbally assaulting her, like however this was going down, again, I don't know all the details, but I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't just stand there and be quiet. I'm not saying I would go knock the person out, but would I have a few choice words? Heck yeah, I would. And I don't know what the deal is with someone doing that to anybody. Like anybody's out having dinner with their mom and you go talk trash and accuse them of being a certain way when like who cares? Like you don't know these people. You know what I mean? So kind of interesting situation. I hope it works out. I think it was one of the guys on Spitting Chicklets was like, yeah, let's draft him. Like and once some of the story came out, then I saw the opinions shift, and now more opinions were in favor of Gavin. So I thought that was kind of interesting because the initial ones were like, oh my God, like he's never going to play in the NHL. He's not going to be a pick or anything. So I hope it gets resolved. And I hope it was just some kind of stupid trash talking incident in a bar. I don't know, but man, that thing blew up quick this last week.
Yeah, that whole Panarin trade thing went out the door. That
Yes.
Gavin, and it was such a bizarre story. I thought it was fake. I'm double checking it to make sure before I sent you the link. I'm like, okay, this is a real story. But you know what, Mike? I think he did the right thing. You're defending your mother. You're defending someone that was driving you to the rink all those years and got you to where you needed to be. Some guy wants to pop off. I mean, I had a guy years ago when I played hockey in Colorado, and I'm just banned from that league. But he called my best friend's wife a bitch. I made sure I broke his fucking jaw. I don't care. And imagine if you called my mom that or called her a whore, which was reportedly sane. Oh no, you'd have more than a broken jaw. You'd be in the hospital for a while. And I don't care. And I wouldn't care what legally happens to me, which I doubt something's gonna happen to me. I'm smart enough to get away with things. And I'm not gonna just go and cross that line, but I think he reacted the right way. It's an emotional thing. You leave people's parents out of it. You don't know who doesn't have their parents anymore, and it's just things like that. I don't know. I think yeah, people are saying, oh, he's a professional. He's professional. He's an 18-year-old kid, number one. So you really can't really draw that line. He's technically not a professional athlete. He's playing in college. So I think his response was the right thing. From what I read, they were trying to disengage from there, and this fan just kept, or whatever this idiot, this name was Josh Coakley or something, was trying to go and provoke things, and he provoked the right person and got clocked in the mouth for it. I guarantee that kid that got knocked out and has his jaw broken and everything, he's gonna think twice for running his mouth. He's probably one of those people that are in his mom's basement talking shit online and didn't realize that, hey, well, there's realities comes when you can talk shit in someone's face and they're gonna knock you out. So I think it was the right response. I'm not saying go and beat the crap out of everyone over words, but when it comes to your mom being right there present too, that's even another thing too, Mike. It's like you're calling someone's mom whatever you called her when she's right then and like right there in your face. And yeah, that's not gonna fly. And yeah, it's gonna be a kind of an uphill battle for him. I think the biggest concern is not him getting drafted. Like he's pretty proven that he can play in the NHL. He's gonna be a pretty nice player. But his college, I know college, they have a lot of ground rules for scholarship players or bringing players in, zero tolerance. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. he's not going to get jail time. I think. I mean, me being around the little experience I have around law enforcement and kind of like criminal wise stuff, you're not going to get 20 years for a bar fight unless you really, really crack someone's skull. They're in a coma or something. He's probably going to get probation, slap on the wrist, anger management, like I mentioned. He's going to get some fines, maybe a settlement with the guy, and maybe do a lot of like city work, charity work to kind of work off his fines and the volunteer work. But it's an unfortunate situation that I don't think he was going out looking for trouble. So that was one thing. And I text you too, Mike, like, okay, was it a fuck around and find out? Sorry, that's my second F-bomb of the show. Or was it him being a jackass? And it turns out it was the F around and find out. So I guess that guy found out, and I wish him the best, and I wish his mom the best too. It's kind of unfortunate that she had to see her son in that situation. So my heart goes out to the McKenna family, including his mom, and I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, and you made a good point. I think the thing we'll have to see is where he's at in the school and all that kind of stuff. That's where you have to see what happens from there. And yeah, it will be somewhat of a uphill battle. It's kind of transitions into what's been going on lately in hockey, but
Mike,
yeah.
if someone called you a whore, I would slap the hell out of them for you. I'd Will Smith slap them. I wouldn't break their jaw, but I'd Will Smith slap them because I don't want to get kicked out of Honda Center.
I appreciate that, Eddie. Oh my God, you're making me fucking laugh and dying over here. Holy crap, that is hilarious. Oh my God. Oh Jesus. Well, with that, there's been some goalie fights in the league. We're talking about fights right now. Might as well keep on with the theme. But you guys all know I went to the Stadium Series game with Florida and New York and Miami, and that wasn't as eventful because the Rangers smoked the Panthers in that game, but it was fun to go to. But you had some Stadium Series shenanigans. You had Tampa Bay and Boston playing, and then Eddie, you had a goalie fight in this one. I mean, it wasn't that big of a goalie fight, but it was still entertaining to see the scrum in front of the net. Vasilevsky comes down the ice and they get it on. I want to say, wasn't that the first ever goalie fight in this like outdoor game? I think maybe Eddie.
Yeah, I believe so. I was trying to look it up real quick. Um, you know what, Mike? How many times have I told you I wanted to watch a goalie fight live?
Yes.
And then now it's going around. Um, oh man, that fight and that game, and this is for the league. I hope the league is really watching the standings, but that game against Tampa Bay and Boston was the most watched NHL game of the season. And you have to think, why? There was a big goalie fight, the big scrum, and there was no stopping them. They were going at it, and it was a pretty good tilt. And I do want to say, and looking it up real quick, it was the first outdoor goalie fight in NHL history. I think in all hockey history. But it's just good to see. And I don't know why the league is so bent on not wanting things like this to happen. This is how you draw in new fans. You think like this ratings system how it is, all these you think other people saw what was going on. Hey, look at this clip, and they turn on the game and watch it. They want to see more of that. Let it go. The refs jump in so much, in which they have to. Like the league mandates them. If not, they get reprimanded for it. But things like that grow the game. You bring new fans and like, okay, what the hell is going on? Like, wait, how come they're fighting? How come they're not suspended? And seeing two goalies fight is the best thing in the world. You heard the whole crowd just roar when that happened, Mike, and it was just crazy. You have Cutter, like you said, Cutter helping Dosty try to fight. He needs a fight. We had Gibson how many times skate out and try to go after someone, but the refs prematurely go and break it up. I'm glad the refs were entertained and trying to break up the scrum. They allowed, well, they didn't really allow because Vasilevsky kind of pushed the ref, if you saw that, Mike, and went after Swayman. So, I mean, that was just funny.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it was like because Swayman got in the mix initially, and the Lassie Vasilevsky comes down, and they all get into it. I was like, "Holy crap! What? This is hilarious!" And then you also had the Florida and San Jose. You had a goalie fight in that game on the 19th. I mean, like, what the hell's going on, Eddie?
Yeah, Bob and Nabalchich. I can't say his name for San Jose. Just the goalie starts with an N. But and yeah, it all started too, Mike. It all started with that the AHL fight. I think yeah, I think you reposted that on Ducks and Puck too. Ducks and Pucks. Yeah, it all started with there. We saw the AHL fight, and then you had the San Jose and Florida one, and then boom, the Stadium Series one. So maybe the goalies are going to try to go at it more because you've seen a lot of goalies skate out to the center ice. You've seen goalies more this season. They'll go and start making contact with the players. So, I mean, this grows the game, gets you new fan base, and I really hope it happens when I'm at a game at Honda Center because I'm gonna lose my mind like absolutely.
Oh, I agree. We always talk about it, and now it's happened a couple times recently. So I would lose my mind too if I saw it in person. It'd be absolutely crazy. And then you got another Stadium Series game. What is it? 2027. You got the Stars and the Knights playing in Texas at AT&T Stadium. So that'll be another one to watch. So. Yeah, it's been crazy. We've got, recently in hockey, we've had a lot of hat tricks. We had some goalie fights. I mean, it's been good watching hockey. I mean, it's been exciting, especially the last, I don't know, last month or so, January and the beginning of February. So, a lot of stuff to cover there. We'll probably, do another show probably a couple weeks from now. Well, maybe not. We might not do one. We'll have to see with the Olympics or something. If something else comes up.
Yeah.
But there's no trades obviously right now. Maybe we can talk the Olympics if something happens with our guys doing real well or something, or they win gold, or maybe we'll wait till the beginning of maybe we'll do something closer to the trade deadline and maybe preview some stuff. But with that, kind of wrap up the show. Eddie, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Yeah, the one last fan question that we had by Maddie_Marie09 about the difference in playing dirty and just hockey. I think playing dirty is when you're intentionally trying to hurt someone, trying to injure them. Just hockey is like you're throwing your body up and you're playing physical. I like playing physical. I like that physicality. And these players too, when they fight, like they're not trying to intentionally injure each other. You see it time in and time out where they're grabbing their jerseys so that they're not hitting their head, or they're right away calling for a trainer if the player is like not responsive, or that little good fight tap. So I think that's the main difference in playing dirty and just hockey. So I guess with that, I want to just I guess wish Team USA and wish all the Olympians good luck. Hopefully no one gets significantly injured, just a few bumps and bruises, and I hope we have a good tournament and show the world that I guess these NHL stars deserve to be back in the Olympics and not just have I guess amateur players playing it. It's gonna be fun to see the best on best hockey. So I'm gonna miss the Ducks, but I'm glad they're off for a few season or a few weeks so we can get our injuries recovered. We can formulate a new game plan. I hope Verbeek was lying. He just starts talking to Cutter and Leo during this break because I want to see something done before the summer. But I think it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, well, I wish you guys all the best. I'm gonna miss talking to you, Mike. Well, I'm probably to talk to you here and there, but must be on the podcast with you and said a good luck USA.
Yeah, I agree. Go Team USA, and same thing about the answering that question. Yeah, if you're playing dirty, that's where you're going to try to hurt people. It's one thing to play hard, battle over the puck, go for checks and all that stuff. But if you're doing stuff where like you're swinging at a person's head or potentially trying to
Oh
knock someone
yeah.
out for a headshot or something like that, then yeah, now you're talking about playing dirty. But yeah, I appreciate you guys listening and everything. Also look at our the description box at the bottom. It's got our sponsors from Old City Sports Network. We're part of them. And then we're also part of the Hockey Podcast Network as well. So check all that out. And then maybe we'll be back in a little bit. And with that, as always, let's go Ducks.